together. That's fine.
Great.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, sir.
இது கிளியரா இருக்குதானே? வாய்ஸ் உங்களுக்கு கேக்குது தானே? Then we can start it now.
No.
Also, you admit everyone. Start admitting.
Morning, Paul sir. Morning, Paul sir.
Morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Chef Babu sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning, sir. Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Babu sir. Very smart. Very looking.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Looking very smart, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you.
Very nice platform you all are making.
Okay. Chef Ashish, may I ask you to unmute, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chef Sana, mute. Still it's on mute, Chef Sana.
Good morning, everyone. I am Paul P. Jose, coordinator for the Department of Hotel Management. It's a proud privilege for me to welcome you all to the second day of International Virtual Seminar at T. John College. Our department is approved by AICTE, NAC A-graded college and affiliated to Bangalore University. So we have two renowned speakers for today, Chef Sana Kidway and Chef Ashish Tapial. Both are from ECG Young Chefs Club. Now I request our faculty Chef Sadesh Babu to introduce the key speakers for today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. I'd like to thank each and everyone. Take your time and participate in the session. So I'm the culinary professor of T. John College, Hotel Management Department. I'm so excited to be here and very happy to introduce our speakers. So for today's session, we have two international chefs who will be sharing their knowledge on latest cooking techniques used in culinary. Let me introduce first speaker, Chef Sana Kodwai. So she has 8 years of experience in culinary field, and she is currently holding a president and ambassador for UAE for Emirates Culinary Guide Young Chef Club. And she achieved lots of awards in her career. Some of them are outstanding performance through the course programmed by ICCA in 2015, Chef of the Batch, and first runner-up at Shine the Rotatia competition, and then 2 gold and 1 silver medal at Culinary Workshop, which is the World Cup for UAE national team at Luxembourg, and then 1 gold in Team Culinary Challenge, FHA Singapore UAE national team. So she is a very young and so talented chef. I'm like to introduce on behalf of the college. So thank you so much for coming, Chef Sana. Next, I'm introducing, let me introduce the second speaker, Chef Ashish. So I worked under him for 2 years, couple of years in UAE. So I'm great pleasure to introduce about himself. He is currently holding as a chairman of Emirates Culinary Guide Young Chef Club. Some of the achievements are gold medal at competition conducted by Salon, which is in UAE, and then gold medal at Great Indian Culinary Challenge. So I'm hand over to Chef Ashish. So please go ahead, Chef. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for having
Sadesh.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you, team, for having us. And we will today speak about the modern techniques used in the kitchens and competitions. So guys, if you have any kind of question, please leave it in the chat box, and Chef Sadesh will tell us about it. Or if we were not able to do it today, we will certainly give you guys our email address. You can send us an email and we will revert to you back. Okay, so we will start. The first topic will be sous vide. So I'm sure most of you guys would have heard about sous vide, which is normally called as the vacuum cooking or pressure cooking. So it is nothing but a vacuum pack, temperature controlled precision cooking. So what happens in this cooking is a meat, protein, or a vegetables or a fruits is sealed inside the plastic bag, and the air is removed it, and it is airtight, of course, and it's a sealed. So we have to use 2 kinds of machines in it. First is vacuum pack machine. Second one is immersion rod, which heats the water and circulates throughout the vessels or a container, whatever you are using it. Yeah, I will request Sadesh to share the slides, what we have over here. And later on, we can share to you guys as well if you guys are needed for your
Sure, Chef. It's already shared. It's already shared. Just give me a moment.
Okay. Thank you. So what happens normally, we put any kind of meat or any kind of protein, your vegetables, fruits inside, and the marinated spice, herbs, sauce, and you can add some kind of fat in it a little bit. And then we have to vacuum seal it. So once the air is removed, so once we remove the oxygen out, air out, so it makes it microbial free. So there will be no cross contamination. There will be no growth of bacteria in it. So it makes the shelf life of it. It will make the shelf life. It increases the shelf life of the products, whatever is inside. And the machine, you guys can see it in the slides. We have put one the picture of the machine and the containers itself. So there are various kinds of sous vide machines currently available in the market. So basically, it is a 2 containers or things. First, there is a vessel in which we have to fill the water, and then the immersion rod will go inside it. It will regulate it and heat it up slowly, so the temperature doesn't go the permitted levels, and it will be circulating throughout the vessel, and from one corner to another corner the temperature will be same. It won't change the temperature. So what happens once the protein or the vegetables, the food is inside the machine and immerse in the immerse that controlled water, which is temperature control, and it doesn't exceed more than 85 degrees Celsius. It never goes to the boiling point, so the meat is slowly cooked in it. So we call it precision cooking because in the sous vide, there is no overcooked. There's no chance of it because you have to work with time. The time is main important thing in that, and the temperature. You have to preset the temperature and timing. Like if you go do it 135 degree Fahrenheit for the temperature, and there will be certain time. For you can cook a chicken for a longer time in it. Even egg can be cooked for 30 minutes, a medium egg. So you have to precise the temperature like 58 degrees to 62 degrees Celsius. So in that, for each and every food material, from either it's protein item from beef to fish or vegetable item or a fruits item, you have to be put in a certain temperature for a certain time. So what happens once you put the meat in it? It slowly cooks and it takes time to cook this. When in a busy restaurant, normally we are very busy during the our service. We don't get much time. Sometimes what happens is if somebody is cooking a steak, or if you are putting in a pan or in an oven, sometimes the sides normally get burnt. In it the heat goes from outside to inside. So what happens is the outside thing is get more crispy and hard because the water extent is moisturized, it goes away. So in this cooking, there is nothing happens. It's same everywhere from center point to outside, and it will be never be crispy, caramelized, or charred. For that, what we do is after the meat is cooked, we pan saute it or pan fry it with a kind of fat, the kind of fat or the kind of herbs you wanted to give the flavor. Like for the beef, we normally use butter, garlic, and rosemary or thyme. So it gives a very good caramelization after it, and we normally use the iron skillet for that, because in iron skillet the heat is divided in the pan properly, everywhere. So it goes from one end to another end proper time, so it gets caramelized. And in this process, if you cook meat one side for 1 minute and another side for 1 minute, it doesn't get more cooked because it's already cooked inside properly. So the cooking method is very good, and it is called normally precise cooking for me, because it's well versed now in the industry. Before, what is used to be in the beginning, I would say it is not the latest cooking technique, but yes, it is modernized one. In 1799, there was one physicist called Benjamin Thompson. He made some machine for the potatoes. So he can air dry it or make a potato chips. So by accident, he found the thing. While experimenting, he put a meat or a lamb piece, I guess that time, in that machine, the just chips machine, and because that time there was no vacuum pack machine. So he wanted to try to make the things to work easy with. So what he did, he put the lamb in it, and he put it for 3 hours, and he was trying to give it to his maid for the food.
Excuse me,
But
Mr.
the
Ashish.
maid, sorry,
Sorry to interrupt in between.
yeah,
Just for a minute, I'll unmute everyone. There are some background sounds coming in. Then I'll ask you to unmute.
yeah, sure, Mr. Paul, you can do that.
Okay.
Are we good to go?
1 minute, sir.
Okay.
Yes, chef, we can continue.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. So I will continue from there. So the Mr. Thompson, he wanted to give the meat to his maid, but what happens, due to work pressures, he forgot in the machine only, and he was thinking that I will cook it later on. So what happens, he forget it for a day, 24 hours over there, and next day when they find out, what they find out, the meat, they by looking it, they cannot eat it. But once they cut it and tasted it, it was the taste. It was very nice, and even the doneness was very nice. So at that time, he discovered that by doing constant temperature or slow cooking method, they can make the food well tested and well the tenderness in the meat. So, well, that time it was not that popular doing these kind of things because for the market it was not available. So, nearly after 200 years later on, there was Chef Pralus, and there were one scientist chef called as Chef Guzzo, who was in US, and the Chef Pralus in I think he was worked with Chef Pierre Toigro in Toigro restaurant in France. So over there, they brought it in the industry in 1974. Actually, they were trying to vacuum the foie gras because the foie gras was quite expensive at that time. Still it is, but yeah, that time it was more expensive than now. They used to cook foie gras, and whenever they used to cook it, the raw foie gras they used to keep in a container. But what they used to find it every time, it shrinks after 1 day or 2 days keeping in the container. It shrinks and oxidize it. So what they did, they started wrapping the foie gras, and they are trying to remove the air. So once they find out the machine for removing the air, which is now called as vacuum pack, and before it was called as cryo pack. So they find out after putting it in a vacuum, the size which used to reduce by 50%, it is at that time it comes to 5% only. So after that, they started cooking with the vacuum pack only. So what they put it in bain marie, so in a controlled temperature. So there was a lot of trial and error at that time. So they figured it out. After that foie gras, they tried it in meat as well. So they find it out. Meat and vegetables are slowly cooked in a controlled temperature, controlled in a vacuum pack, and it tastes nice. And not only nice, but with the all the juices of meat is intact in it because there is no evaporation going on. So they found out this thing in 1974. But it was not until 2000 this technique was not very famous in the industry. So after 2003, it became more popular in US when chef Thomas Keller introduced in his kitchen, and around 2007, chef from Alenia, he introduced in his kitchen, and then they tried to experiment in it with the different time, temperature, and with the different kind of protein, vegetables, fruits, and all. So after trying that, they find it the way it is very nice, and the meats, even protein, all your fruits are becoming very tender with all the vitamins and everything in it. Before, it used to be come in a big container. Nowadays, it's very small. It's just a simple one rod, which has come up with the Bluetooth, even Wi-Fi settings and all. You can cook it from anywhere. You just need to put your meat inside or a vegetable or a fruit inside the container or vessel, and just put the immersion rod and turn it on, and you can control it through Wi-Fi with the technology, with the help of technology. Before, it was around 2000 and 2005, it was around $600. But lastly, in 2016, Chef Steps, there is one chef's community in America. They they worked it out, and they introduced it in a cheaper price, around $200 to $250. That is called Joule. Anyone can go through the internet and check about them, and they deliver everywhere. And now it is so famous that everybody in Europe or America, or maybe in India as well, people are using it in home. So from my side, that's it. If anyone have questions, please ask, and we can go for the next one for me.
Anyone has any questions, you can put it in the chat box. I think then we'll go to the next session.
Yeah. Sana, over to you. And Mr. Wolf, can we go to the third slide for me?
This forms and forming techniques.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Ashish, verification you'll cover after this?
Yeah, after this.
Okay. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you, Ashish, for covering sous vide. Moving forward, we have the next slide, which is foam and foaming. This is not a new technique which you are seeing here. It was introduced in 1700 when souffle was invented. And as you all know, souffle are of different taste, savory as well as sweet. And it was invented using the egg white and beating it to the stiff, bringing the stiffness in the egg white and then making the souffle which puffs up. So that gave the idea of foaming. But now in today's world, foaming have taken a different level. As you can see in the photos, which we have given in the PPT, that people are using it for different reasons. First is it can bring in a very good taste in any food. It can add a flavor. You can make a foam flavored like we used to make in our restaurant using saffron flavored foam or mint flavor foam. And the second thing is it's give a very good presentation to the food, overall food. It can bring in the colors to the food. Now, different type of foams which you can create using different techniques are aired. The second one is dense foam, and the third one is light foam. The aired foams are the bubbles which have more air rather than water. The one which you see in your latte coffee is the aired foam because you taste less coffee but more air in it. Or a thick layer of head on the beer, that is aired foam. The second type of foam which we use in our presentation or dishes are dense foam. Dense foam, you can call it, it's dense because it has little bit more texture to it. One which we do with cream in our cakes or on our desserts are the dense foam, where we have more of a cream and less of a air in it. So whipped cream is an example of dense foam. Then the light foam is lightly beaten up, which does not have a consistent bubbles in it, but does have a water and air in it. The one which you can see in the first photo, in which foam is there on the piece of meat, is a light foam. Now, anybody can create a foam at home. We can use a hand whisk and we can create a foam. But the thing is that we cannot make it last longer. So to have it for a longer duration, we use different kind of, you can say a chemical formula, which recently people have started using in modern kitchen. One of it is xanthan gum and the other one is lecitat. So what we do is both of it are not harmful if used in a right proportion. The proportion which we use is usually 0.5% to 1% to any amount of liquid. And these things make foam stay longer. Like if you're preparing a dish in your kitchen and it is going from your kitchen platform to the table and it's taking around 10 minutes to reach there, then you need something which stays for at least that 10 to 5 to 10 minutes. So that is why we use all these things, so that when we send it to our customers, they see as we want them to see it, with all the foam and all the air in it, presentable. So xanthan gum and lecitate are the things which we use in a liquid. First, we make a flavored liquid, and then we add little bit of these powder. Like I said, it should not exceed more than a 15 gram of consumption in a day. Once again, these things are not very harmful, but if you use it too much, it will create a health issue. So these things, if you're using, you should restrict yourself to the amount which is given on the box when you buy it. Or if you know a chef who can tell you the right amount to be used per ml of water or liquid. So then these foam can be created using different tools. One of it is hand whisk. You can use your hand whisk, which I think every kitchen use. Then other than that, you can also use a standing mixer to create a foam. All you have to do is you have to make your liquid, add the xanthan gum in it, and then just whisk it. Other than that, you can also use a siphon, whipping siphon, which is a bottle-like container with a nozzle and a cylinder slot. Now the cylinder is used to load N2O or CO2. What does CO2 do is it adds gas to the base which you are adding in the bottle, filling in the bottle. Now, why we use siphon is that we can keep it for a longer duration for the entire service from, you can say from 7 o'clock in the evening to 12 o'clock in the night. If you have to keep your cream ready for every order, then this is a better way of storing it and loading it with the gas CO2 cylinders. So what we do is we just load it with cylinder, we let it charge, we shake it, and we directly release it on the plate which we want to serve it. So that's a different way of dispensing a foam on the plate. Other than that, if you're using a hand whisk, you can just collect the froth from the top of the water, and you can directly put it, use a spoon and directly put it on the plate. So these are the things which we use in the kitchen. If you guys have any question regarding this, please let me know. Okay, so shall we go ahead, Paul? You are mute, Paul, we can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. We have received one question.
Yeah, so standard use measurement is, like I said, it's 0.5% to 1% of the liquid which we are using. Suppose if you have 100 ml, then you can put 1 ml of that liquid or 1 gram of that liquid. Okay, so that is the quantity which you need. So whatever liquid amount you are using, just take 0.5 to 1% of this liquid, of this powder, xanthan as well as lecithin.
Okay. Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Another question which just come is from Rajiv K. Thakur. Question is, how can we stabilize foam?
Yeah, so like I said, to stabilize the foam, these are the things which we use. So when you, have you seen a milk foam? When you boil a milk, you see a foam coming up. But can you retain it? Can you keep it with you for like 20-30 minutes? No, you can't. So to achieve that no longer duration and to have a more stabilized form, we use these things, lecithin and xanthan gum, which gives it a longer life. Your foam will stay as it is. You can try it with your milk if you want once. Just boil a part of milk, add this powder in it, and then just whip it.
Okay, ma'am. The next question. The brain freezer, the liquid nitrogen ice cream, is it safe or not?
Okay, we will come to that in our last slide. We have a freezing slide in which we will cover liquid nitrogen. So let's just discuss this foam and foaming first.
There's one more question.
Okay, yes. How does foam play its role? Okay,
yes.
Like I gave you an example, we used to serve a braised lamb shank, okay, in a restaurant with a saffron flavored foam. Now, how saffron flavor foam is adding taste to that lamb? What we used to do is we used to boil a part of liquid, like a part of milk and a part of water with little bit of saffron in it, saffron essence, okay, salt. That's it. Just boil it. Then we used to add lecithin in it, whip it, and then put the foam on top of the lamb shank. Now that foam will contain the strong flavor of saffron, and it will also add on the color. So that's how we used to give it a saffron flavored, we used to serve it as a saffron flavored shank. So shank was cooked in a sous vide, like Ashish said. Most of the hotels are using sous vide nowadays. It's a better way of cooking. We used to cook a lamb shank in sous vide and then top it up with the saffron flavored foam to add that flavor to the shank. Why we have to consume cream packed in Tetra Pak within a couple of days after opening? That's because it will develop bacteria in it. You cannot keep it longer. It's milk. Milk contain a lot of bacteria, for longer duration. If you keep it, once it's open, it doesn't, it will, first it will go bad. Second, it's not safe for your health. How can we prevent liquid foam for, okay. Again, the same question. I said you have to add these two chemicals to the liquid to have a longer life. What are the alternatives? Okay. Xanthan gum is one, Lecitat is second, Worcestershire is third, but you will not get Worcestershire in India, I believe. So it's better to go with the Xanthan or Lecitat. But please use it under somebody's supervision. Don't put too much of it.
Excuse me, Sana ma'am.
Yes.
Now we'll go forward with the next slides and we'll go for the question and answer session towards the end of the session.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So Ashish, over to you now.
Thank you, Sana. Moving forward, we will talk about the spherification process. Is the second slide. Normally, the spherification is very popular up to 2003, when Chef Ferran Adria introduced it to the world from a restaurant called El Bulli, which was the top #1 restaurant for at least 4 to 5 years in the world. So in this technique, what they do, they make a small, spluttering liquid balls, which is normally called as, which similarly look as a roux of the fish. So it is called as caviar, and we have given them the vegetarian caviar or any kind of caviar, whatever flavor we want to give it. So what happens is, in spherification process, there are mainly two types of spherification. One is the direct spherification and one is the reverse spherification. So both have their different process to do it. In the direct spherification, what happens is when the liquid, which contains the sodium alginate with the liquid, when it goes to the, and when it goes to the and mix it with the bath of calcic, normally called as sodium chloride, or what we call it again, sodium lactate, to shape it and give make a thin layer of the juice or the puree, whatever we are using in it, and it makes very thin spares around it, from 6 mm to 30 mm in a diameter. So what happens when it goes to the bath of calcic or calcium lactate or a calcium chloride? So it forms a small spare around it, and we need to give some time to get to form the jelly. So once the jelly is formed, we have to remove it. If in sodium chloride bath, if you keep it that liquid for a longer time, it will become hard, because in direct spherification, the hardness comes from the bath and it goes towards center of the ball or center of the sphere, whatever we are going to make. We can make it small caviar to an egg yolk size in it. And how does it work? The sodium alginate we need to use and blend it with the mixture of any juice which we wanted to make a caviar. Now in the normal days, in the high-end restaurant, we see these kind of is in I mean, the caviars are normal with the plates in a cold or in a hot plates. We see the small spares, but when you taste it, it tastes differently, because first, if you look it and if it is like what you call it, orange juice one, right? It looks same like a salmon caviar or salmon roux, we can say it. So once you taste it, you will know that it's not a salmon one. It has with the orange juice. So we can make any kind of juice. We can make the spares of any kind of fruit juice, fruit puree, or vegetable puree, vegetable juice, any kind of it. So it's a good technique to modernize and elevate the platings. Normally, the liquid which contains the what do you call it, calcium chloride, it has iron, and it has to submerge with the calcium or potassium bath normally. Once it get mixed with that, then it forms a thin membrane outside. So then it gives a format. In reverse, it is opposite. It's the alginate is in the bath, and the lactate or calcium chloride, it is in the mixture. But there are different ways to doing it, and we'll talk it on later. But here we will just focus on the spherification. So with the direct spherification, we have to, keep in mind thickness of the base, the liquid which we want to make a sphere. We need to make, to know about the thickness and the flavor and the acidity. If it is too acid, it cannot be done in a straight or direct spherification. We have to do it alternates, or we can do it easily in a reverse spherification. But to do it with a more higher acidic, like balsamic vinegar or any alcoholic, we need to add some kind of salt to it, which is normally called as sodium salt. For that, we have to see, we need to have a pH strips normally used in a cooking. So to check that acidity, and that pH level has to be, and the pH level for the acidic one should not go below 3.6. If it goes below, we cannot make the spares or proper spherification or proper the yolk type of consistency. It will never meet. So for that, we have to maintain a pH level 3.6 and above until 5, and we cannot go more in alkaline as well. So once the quick fix for that is alkaline ingredient, we need to add like a sodium citrate, or normally sodium citrate is the best one, which we normally used in restaurants, and or sodium hexataphosphate. You can see the name which we have shared in the slide, and you can learn more about this thing through using the internet. I would say there is a book from 2003 to 2006 from El Bulli. In that, it's very clearly mentioned it, how to do it and the process of it. So once we elevate the pH level and the flavorful flavors of the base, it will be nice in the textures, nice in the colors as well. If the alkaline is more and the sodium is more, or calcium chloride is more in a direct spherification, the taste won't be good enough. I mean, it will taste like a bitter. But for that, there is a process. We should not use much of calcium in it, otherwise it will ruin the flavor and taste. So how we can do a normal spherification? For that, you need to have a few the ingredients or tools with you, like you need to have sodium alginate and and calcium chloride, any kind of liquid which you want to make a sphere of it. And then you need to have two or three kind of bowl. One chinois, which has to be very fine, and you can get the dotted spoons to strain the spares or caviars. So what you need to do is you need to take the liquid. You have to always, it is a precise cooking, and you have to keep in mind that you need to weight each and everything. Like if you are making of 1000 ml of liquid in to 1 gram of that. And similarly goes with the bath, which is called normally a calcic bath. So in that calcic bath, similar for the water, you have to take 1 liter of water. In that 1% to 2% of your calcic will go in it, and it need to be blended enough. So first you blend the sodium alginate in your base, which you wanted. You have to take any kind of juice or puree of it, and then you need to pass it through Cinva, the proper Cinva, and you need to aerate the air once you are blended. What I would do is, if I wanted to make 1 liter, I will take around 100 ml of puree or a liquid or a juice, and I will blend the sodium alginate in it first, and then later on through using a blender, I will blend it in the big one, and the rest remaining juice I will add in it. So what happens that it won't get coagulate in it, or it won't make any the impurities in it. Once the blending process is done, then you need to fine sieve and put it in a container or a squeezy bottle or a fine bowl to remove the air out of it. If you make with the air, it will never come out properly, and the air will float on the top. So the removal of air is very important in this. Once you are resting the base, the same time in another bowl of 100 ml of water and your sodium chloride, which is 1 to 2 gram, you need to blend in the water, and then you need to keep it in a container separate. So once it is done, you take your the base in a squeezy bottle or in your syringe or anything. There is normally a kit dropper which has 50 or 100 dropping sets. So from that you can use it, and you need to make the bath. The distance has to be around 100. You can say 100 ml or 1 foot, 100 meter. Centimeter and 1 foot to approx to that, or 3 to 4 inches above the water bath you need to use in it, and then drop one by one. And in that you just need to whip it or mix it slowly so the droplets couldn't mix together. So once that is done, just leave it for a minute, because if you keep more than a minute, the membrane will get thickened more, and it will will be hard. It won't give you the texture and desired flavor in it. So it will become thick. So by perforated spoon, after it's done, you can strain it, put in clean water, and I would suggest the water has to be plain or bottled water, which is you can get it anywhere, not the normal tap water. After that, putting in removing that, give it a 5 minutes, stir it again, and then again strain it and put in a little bit of the flavored water or flavored puree or juice where you wanted to make it. So by doing these kind of things, you will make your spares visually good and even good in a taste as well. So you can see in the first picture on this slide, we have put for the alginate. Yes, substitute. It's not there right now, but you can do it in a reverse spherification, where you put the the alginate in as a bath, and the potassium or the lactate is in the mixture. You can use that. Can we use gelatin or agar instead of sodium alginate? Yes, you can use it for the acidic in nature, which you can make caviars of balsamic vinegar and all by using the oil and agar in that. But if you go in agar, what it will do, it will make everything in a jelly process. That's not only the thin membrane won't be enough in that, will not make it properly. For rest of the question, we will revert you through email. So please, Swadesh, you can go ahead to the next slide.
So this dehydrate technique or
Yes. And over to Sana.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Ashish. Okay, a quick one. Yes, sabayon is a aerated dish, and second one is eating foam with meat is not harmful. Okay, so we are coming to dehydration technique. This technique is not very new because it's there since ages, stone ages. In India, people love to dehydrate their snack item, even pickles and everything. In Antarctic, people dehydrate their fishes. In Middle East, people dehydrate their fruits, and they also dehydrate their meats. So it's there in all the culture and in all the continents. But now it has changed. Why it has changed? Because now people are doing it more carefully and more on a more commercial based. Okay. So what people are doing is they are buying this commercial dehydrator, which is given in the slide, a picture. What we do is we regulate the amount of time we are dehydrating, and we regulate the temperature at which we want to dehydrate anything. Why we are doing this? Because we don't want to lose the texture or the color of the product. Like if you are dehydrating a kiwi, you must have seen very fancy photos of dehydrated beetroot chips. Okay, so that is one example. When you dehydrate something, any vegetable, any meat in a particular set temperature and set time, then you get that texture. You don't lose the shape of it. You don't lose the texture and the beautiful linings and everything in the food item. Like when you dehydrate a meat, you have to maintain the temperature so that bacteria are not growing in. In India, when we dehydrate any snack item, you dehydrate it under the sun, which is a okay technique because you completely dry it. You want it dry to a consistency where you can, if you want to fry it, it just pops up in the oil. But here we are talking about something else. Here we are talking about dehydration in which you can eat those items as it is also. If you have dehydrated fruits like oranges, like kiwis, mangoes, all you have to do is just dehydrate those fruits and eat it directly without cooking it again. So to achieve that consistency, people use these machines in which they regulate the temperature and they also regulate the duration for which they are dehydrating it. Now, one very important thing is when you are dehydrating, you have to be very careful what is the temperature and whether it's dry enough to store or not. If it's not dry enough to store, then you cannot keep it for a longer duration. It will start getting moldy and it will not be good for consumption. So these are the equipments which professionally we are using in the kitchen. So all those fancy photos of beautiful beetroot chips, pears, apple decoration, which people are using on desserts now, those are dehydrated in these equipment and under a regulated temperature and under a regulated time. Okay, so is there any question regarding dehydration?
Chef Sana, one Ms. Sonia has raised a question.
Yeah.
Dehydration does allow the food to be preserved for a long time, but it leads to loss of nutrients. What can be done to ensure the prevention of loss of nutrients?
Okay. So when you are dehydrating something, it will not take away the nutrients if you are dehydrating it under a regulated temperature. Okay, you are not dehydrating it to an extent where everything is lost. Yes, there is loss of nutrients in a dehydrated products, but when you regulate the temperature, you can retain it at most. Means like when you're using these things to dehydrate, where you can specifically set one temperature like 35 degrees to dehydrate it overnight, then you can definitely retain some nutrients in it. Why can't we dehydrate? Yes, you can dehydrate onion and garlic. It's in culture. People use it in China and in many other culture, dehydrated onion and garlic. But you do it in the house, because otherwise your entire house will be smelly. So please do it outside house. Can I use a combi oven instead of? Yes, you can use a combi oven, but again you cannot regulate the heat. I am talking about very minimal heat. I'm talking about 35 degrees to 37 degrees. Or if you want it quick, then I'm talking about somewhere around 50 to 60 degrees. I'm not talking about 150 or 100 degrees. So dehydrating is, one thing you can do is you can keep any vegetable under a lamp and dehydrate it under a very strong lamp to dehydrate a vegetable on a parchment paper. Name of equipment used for dehydrator, we call it dehydrator. Regular temperature, you can set the temperature based on the ingredient which you are dehydrating. If you are dehydrating a fruit, it will take a longer time because contains a lot of water in it. If you are dehydrating anything other than fruit, like we did with a zucchini, it was a lesser time. On a higher temperature you can do it. Yes, you can dehydrate a meat. People do it in different cultures, but for that a dehydrator cannot be used. There's a equipment which is used for dehydrating meat.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
dry lemon is very common in Mediterranean culture. You can dry lemon under the sun as well. You don't have to dry it in dehydrator. Kokum, yes, please give suggestion. Yes, you can do it. You can just do it in under the sun, because dry lemon is, you want it completely black from inside and hard from outside. Only then you can store it. Lemon have very high acidic value and water content. Any future improvement in? Yes, people are doing a lot of fancy stuff with dehydrated fruits in desserts, and you can just type on Google dehydrated modern fruits. You can see a lot of great photos on it.
thank you,
If you are
Chef.
controlling the temperature, you will not lose the color.
Thank you, Chef Sana. Now we'll move towards the next slide, and then
Yes,
later on
please.
we'll answer the queries.
Yeah. Okay, now we are talking about freezing technique. Before going on to this topic, I would like to give a precautionary thing. This is a risky technique which we use inside a kitchen, which we use inside a professional kitchen under a supervision. If you want to use this, please be with somebody who is expert in dealing with freezing nitrogen gas. This is not easy to use, and this is very lethal if consumed or if it's not handled properly. Okay, so what we do is, freezing is not new. It's there since ages, but now people are doing it differently. People are flash freezing products. How we do flash freezing in professional kitchen? We use liquid nitrogen gas, which is from minus 198 degrees to minus 196 degrees. It's very, very, very cold. So if you are dealing barehanded and if you're not careful, then you can definitely damage your hand. And if you're not using the right amount in the food, and if you're not letting it rest for some time, then the people who are eating that food can have severe damage to their internal organs. Okay, so when we use nitrogen gas, what we do is we create a kind of bubble around the food. When we whisk it, what we do is we take some amount of food, then we add nitrogen gas to it. We whisk it continuously so that it creates a kind of bubbly gas around the food, and it quickly freezes it or make the crystal of it. Because nitrogen gas is very, very, very cold, it takes just a second's time to freeze any food in it. Now, this technique people are using to make serve food like purees, like desserts, in everything people are using it nowadays. So when you are using it, you need to have a proper equipment, and you also need to have a proper storage place for your liquid nitrogen, because if it's not in a proper storage container, then you'll end up losing all your liquid nitrogen. You cannot just store it anywhere hot or anywhere on a room temperature. You have to keep it in a cooler place. Now what you need is you need an anti-griddle tool to be safe and to handle it properly in the kitchen when you are cooking or you are mixing liquid nitrogen in your desserts or in your purees. One very important freezing thing freezing does is it makes it easier to give a good presentation to the food. When you're freezing it, it gets easier to present it. It gets more easier to play around with the kind of plating you want to do. So freezing is other than liquid nitrogen, people are freezing, have started freezing and cold storing meat and all these things, but it's completely different from what we are talking. We are talking here of a flash freezing, which take just minutes before serving, and you really have to let it cool down, means rest for at least 2 to 3 minutes before the nitrogen gas evaporates from the food. Nitrogen gas does not harm, but if it's served directly after mixing it in the food, then it can seriously damage the internal organs. So what people do in the restaurants are, we mix it in the food, then we let it rest for some time, and then we serve it to the customer. I hope it's clear now. If you have any question on nitrogen gas or freezing technique, please let me know. Okay. We are talking about flash freezing here. Flash freezing is, no, chiller and freezer are not same. Chiller is when you have temperature from below 3 degrees, okay? Freezer is minus 18 degrees. We are talking about temperature below or up to minus 198 degrees. Blast freezing mostly concerned with blast. No, it doesn't only has to be with desserts. It also contains with the starters. We do a lot of things with the starters, salads, and we also do our purees with the flash freezing. How freezing is different from the crystallization? Kindly, okay. I just answered Rajiv K. Thakur that when you are using chiller, the temperature is below 4 degrees, 3 degrees, okay? When you use freezer, it's below minus 18, up to minus 18 degrees, okay? But we are talking here about the nitrogen gas, which is between minus 198 degrees. So it's seriously cold. It's not like freezer or chiller. When you mix a nitrogen gas in something, it will create a crystal. It will create a small crystals. If you keep whisking it, then it will create a small ball shape crystals of that particular puree or whatever you are doing it with. Now 500 gram ice cream making how much? Okay, this I cannot tell you because it's risky. You have to do it with your chef. Okay, is dry ice the same as? No, dry ice is different from liquid nitrogen. Dry ice cannot take room temperature or even a temperature in the chiller. It will evaporate quickly. Liquid nitrogen is completely different from dry ice. Dry ice is mainly used for presentation when you see people serving different food with the smoke coming out of it. People use dry ice there, which lasts for, you can say, a minute. That's it. Okay, can it be used in classic? It can be used. It is actually, people are using it in French dishes. So yes, it can be used in French dishes. Even that's kind of equipment used for freezing, right? What equipment are we talking about here? No, freezer is not a equipment which you can use for flash freezing. Freezer is for storing, you can store it, but it takes time. So when you keep something in freezer, it takes time to freeze that thing, right? When you keep a meat piece, it will take an hour or two to freeze it completely. But in liquid nitrogen, you freeze it in seconds. In seconds, I'm talking about.
Excuse me, Ms. Sana. Sorry to interrupt in between.
Yeah.
Now, the questions which we'll receive, we'll send it across to the participants and they can send it to your mail ID. Yours
Okay.
and
Yes.
Ashish mail ID, we'll share it in the group, participants group, and they will be able to send it.
Yeah, we'll just write it here.
We'll send it across to you, ma'am.
Yes, that will be that's a better idea actually, because I think there are a lot of doubts. But
Yes.
again, I would say, guys, please don't hang up with the liquid nitrogen. I know it's look very flashy and it's very good looking, but yes, it's very dangerous as well. It can really burn your hand. So please, no, stay very safe when if you're using it.
So participants, I'll be sharing the mail ID of Chef Sana as well as Chef Ashish in our WhatsApp group. So whatever queries you have, you can send a mail across to them. Thank you, Sana, and thank you, Chef Tapial. So now I request our faculty, Chef Babu and Chef Mahadev to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, all. It seems it is a great humor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks today. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making day of the International Virtual Seminar a resounding success. First and foremost, we team of BHM would like to thank Chef Sana and Chef Ashish Thaplial, who despite his busy schedule found time to grace a worthwhile session in the recent time. The session was very informative and gave a understanding on latest cooking techniques used in culinary field. It was obvious that you are extremely knowledgeable and was able to link this knowledge with a great presenting style. You kept us all captive in your talk. Once again, I thank Chef Sana and Chef Ashish Taplial for a top watch talk. A big thanks to all the participants. I request all to kindly give the feedback on today's session. Thanks to all.
Thank you so much, Chef Sana and Chef Ashish Tapial. It's officially we are closing the session. Thank you so much for once again. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So, also you can share that slide which we have so that participants will have a virtual experience of the college. So today's session is officially over. But we have few infos on tomorrow's session, so I will be sharing it now. The slides which we are sharing is for the virtual experience of the college. So I'm Professor Jenny. Thank you all for your participants for the day, and thank you speakers. So any issues in the links which we are sharing in the WhatsApp group, please let us know about any issues. Please address it in the group itself. So today's feedback link will be posted in the group. You can start giving feedback right after 5-10 minutes. We'll be sharing it in the group. We don't have any session tomorrow. It's only quiz. You'll get a certificate apart from the virtual seminar certificate. So be happy that you'll be getting 2 certificates. So daily certificates are limited to 100. If at all, if the limit exits, you'll be getting the certificate in the second day. So officially, quiz is tomorrow, but I will keep the link open till Tuesday. So no problem, you can participate in the quiz and you can get the certificates in that way. So that is from my side. Happy weekend, everyone. Thank you.